Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Now we've all seen Marvel Rivals character wish list, so I'm gonna try to do something very different today. If I if I did a different job, you'll be the judge of that. But I tried not to use characters that are mentioned often in my comments, other videos. I haven't seen any recently, so I mean, maybe some of the characters have popped up once in a while, but I try to use characters that I haven't heard people talk about as much. Not to say the characters are niche, you more than likely know who these characters are, but characters that aren't talked about like that. So there were boxes I wanted to check off during this list. This list has had a lot of changes, but I think right now I like this list a lot. Like I really want to see all these characters come to the game, and there were a couple things that I want to talk about before I actually start. Number one, just because a character didn't make the list doesn't mean I don't want to see them come to the game. Okay, this is a 20 spot roster that I'm trying to make a 20 spot roster that I'm trying to make a video for. So it's kind of hard when there's a million characters that I have to choose from. And I feel bad for NetEase for thinking it, like, how do they come up with characters there's so many to choose from? And number two, characters that I see mentioned a lot. For example, Juggernaut. I really want to see Juggernaut come to the game, but I see him talked about a lot. Or Rogue, I see her talked about a lot. So, you know, characters like that, I do want to see come to the game, but just because they're mentioned a lot, I don't think I need to put them on this list. And also, characters that have abilities similar to characters that are already in the game. For example, Blink, you may or may not know her. She's famous or more popular for her Exile series. She's in other things, but she's more popular for the Exiles. And Exiles is very confusing to explain, or at least I can't explain right now. And she is more so the leader of the team. I would say she's like the leader, but she's been there the longest, right? And Blink, she basically can teleport a lot of things, but Doctor Strange already has like a portal, so I was like, I don't know how they would make her portal different than Doctor Strange's when he has to wait the entire game to use it. And she basically, that's her main thing. So, and also Mysterio, Loki already has clones, so I was like, I don't know how you make those characters different, or at least I don't have enough time to explain them during this video, or at least I didn't think it through that much, you know, like that. So characters that have like similar abilities, I didn't want to put them in this roster because there's a character in the game that already kind of does that. So now I'm not going to go through every ability I think the characters are going to have, but I will mention what I think their role should be if they were put into the game. Now, starting off the list, Phyla-Vell, Martyr, Quasar, Captain Marvel. She has so many names, whatever you want to call her. I think she would make a very good tank. Okay, I think she'd be a similar Venom in a way. I think see her flying around, different than web swinging, but flying around, just diving in, ground slam with her sword or something like that, a spike. And I would say she's like a DPS tank hybrid. Maybe she doesn't have as much HP as Groot or a character like that, but she's quicker, she's faster, she's more mobile than those tanks. So she would, you know, she'd be a very good tank, and I'd like to see her in the front lines and, you know, being able to get out of situations, but also, you know, very, very glass cannon-y tank. I know your tank shouldn't be a glass cannon, so glass cannon shouldn't be the word that I'm using, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. You know, she sacrificed some HP for speed and mobility. And yeah, next on the list is Annihilus. Now, Annihilus tank, easy. I think he should have Annihilus is a very interesting character, okay, because he has so many weird abilities that he doesn't use often, but when he does use, like, he's a weird character to me. But I think he should have like a shield. You know, he can push out a shield. Maybe they play into his exoskeleton thing. I don't know. He's a very weird character, and I like to see how they put him to the game. You know, like making this list, I did want to focus on how many characters are in each role. So Annihilus and Phyla-Vell, I had to start the list off with 2 tanks because I think we need to make our tank roster a little bit stronger, you know, buff it up a little bit. So I think putting in mobile tanks would persuade people to play tank more, or, you know, give people a different way to play tank. And also we need some bad guys out there. I mean, Phyla-Vell's not a villain, but Annihilus, that's the evil dude. Next on the list is Nico Minoru. Now, when I was making this list, like I said, those boxes I wanted to check off, and I wanted more magic users in the game. And Nico, she's a very interesting magic user to me, just because of the fact that she can't use the same spell more than once. So she's a very weird character. So I was kind of thinking maybe she should be a DPS where she has to live and die by her choices, and she uses one spell and there's no cooldowns. She has to die to use it again. So I thought that was very interesting, but I think I would like to see her as a strategist, honestly. Maybe she just has to say heal more. She doesn't say heal in very weird ways to use it multiple times. Next on the list is another curveball, and that's Circe. Now, Circe, I know what you guys are thinking. It's like you guys hear an Eternal character, you guys think of the MCU movie. I didn't think that movie was that bad, but I don't think it was that good either. But I'm more so thinking of the comic book version of Circe, the very cocky one, the very joking Circe. And one thing I want to point out is Circe has never had a bad comic book costume design ever. Like I really like all of her costume designs. Sometimes she's in purple, sometimes she's in green. I really like this character, and having another magic user, she was very weird because I would have put her in DPS because I put Nico and strategist. But I think there's a universe where both of them could be strategists. I just think Circe would be the more, not as much healing, but she's kind of putting up things that can help the team, like a speed boost right here. She can turn someone into a sheep. She can make someone be able to fly or jump higher. You know, like that type of strategist. Someone that can help the team out in different ways and areas. Next on the list is Colossus. Now, Colossus, I genuinely only have one reason why I want to see Colossus in the game. And that's because whenever Wolverine comes to the game, because I know he's coming, I just want Colossus to be able to throw him across the map. That's literally why I want him to see him come to the game. But I think it would be pretty cool to have him and Magic in the same game. I think that'd be pretty cool to have that, you know, that sister-brother dynamic and have them have different voice lines. I'd love to see that in the game. But also, we need some more tanks. So I'm throwing another tank, and I promise you guys, there will be some DPSs in this list. I promise you guys we're getting there, okay? But we're not on DPSs yet because our next character on the list is Sentry. Now, this has nothing to do with the video, but if you guys seen that Thunderbolts trailer, I'm actually really excited for that movie. This is the most excited I've been for a movie, an MCU movie in a long time. So I'm really excited to see that come out. But anyways, Sentry, I'm not even lying to you guys. He was the first character on my list. He just happened to be number 6 or 5. I don't know what number we're on, but he's happened to be down here just because I had to edit. You know, I had to make edits up top, and I just put this character. Anyways, that's just as a point, okay? I was like, Sentry in this game, he would. I don't know. I feel like he'd be a very popular character in this game because he's a very weird character. Like his entire backstory. I encourage you guys to look at. If you don't know who Sentry is, I encourage you guys to do some research and like know who he is, because he is such a weird, like he was faked as like, his story is so weird. It's hard to explain. Like he wasn't a real character, but then they like teased him and then they made him exist before he existed. It's very weird. It's hard to explain. I know that made no sense, but Sentry, he's a very dark character. He has like this dark, form. Sentry is a very good character that I think if you play into that dark side, like an install, like he has to turn into, I don't know. I think having like this evil Superman in the game would be a pretty cool game mechanic. So interesting character. I know I spent a lot of time on him, but he's a very interesting character. If you can't tell, I'm a big Sentry fan. The next character is Kitty Pryde. I really want to see Kitty Pryde come to the game. I know she has a weird ability that I don't know how it would work in this game, but she could walk through walls and stuff like that. I know that'd be pretty weird, but to have it work, I think the payoff would be really huge. And I think we need more DPSs that are kind of unique to themselves, right? If you put Kitty Pryde in the game, there's not too many characters that kind of copy that or implement that into their abilities, right? So, you got your characters that shoot lasers, you got your characters that shoot guns. Characters like that, it's like, okay, you can kind of do that more than once. It kind of gets kind of repetitive. Walking through walls, I don't know too many characters that could do that, okay? So, I think Kitty Pryde would be a very interesting character to put into the game. Now, a character that I've talked about more than once on this channel is Beta Ray Bill. Now, Beta Ray Bill is a DPS just because Thor is a tank already, so I think it makes sense to make him play a different role than Thor. Just so if they have a team ability, which I think they should if he ever makes it, then you're not playing the same role. So I think Beta Ray Bill coming in there and him and Thor is throwing Mjolnir and Stormbreaker to each other, I think that'd be a pretty cool team ability. And to see him in the game with Thor, I would love that so much. Next character on the list is Black Bolt. Now, Black Bolt, I feel like if they ever put him in the game, I'm just imagining him being the most annoyed, hated character in the game. Him just gliding around, screaming at people. If people want to turn the volume down, it's getting loud, it's very annoying to deal with, and I don't know, Black Bolt, I think that'd be a pretty cool character to add to the game. I feel like I'm saying that about everyone, but I'm really huge fans of everyone on this list. So Black Bolt, a really huge fan, and I'd love to see him come to the game. Just him gliding around, that'd be so fun. Oh my gosh, that'd be fun. I don't think I mentioned this, but I think Black Bolt should be a DPS. Now, I love this character. I do want to see Cosmo come to the game. I love Cosmo. I really want to see him be a strategist. Cosmo is very versatile, so I think he could be a DPS or tank. But I think tank, he'd be a little walky. Being right there, it'd be really awkward for Cosmo to be a tank. DPS, it could work, but I think strategist fits Cosmo the best. The next one on the list is Domino, and Domino is a very unique character. Okay, she's very odd to me because she can affect people's outcomes. So how would you put that in the game? And Domino is very popular, I think. I'm pretty sure Domino is very popular. So and she's kind of a character. She's kind of grounded, but she's kind of not. It's kind of weird. I didn't mention this. I forgot to mention this, but I do think Domino should be a DPS. The next character on our list is Jubilee. And Jubilee, when I instantly thought of her, I thought of strategist. I think Jubilee fits that role to a T, and she could be a DPS, but strategist, I think she fits the best right there. And I think Jubilee would be a lot of fun in this game. Just fireworks that'd be so. Jubilee would be a fun character. She has to be a fun. She has to be a fun character. She can't be a boring character. No, she has to be very vibrant, energized. I think she'd be a pretty cool character. And I say that about every single character I've talked about. I say that every single time, but I genuinely think Jubilee would be a fun character to play. And everyone loves Jubilee. I don't think I've met one person that dislikes Jubilee as a character. So with that being said, she'd be very popular. Next on the list is where I started cheating, kinda, and I'll explain how or why. So next on the list is 3 people right here. Okay, they're in this one roster spot, and it's Dr. Octopus, Electro, and Green Goblin. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, there was boxes I want to check off. And I don't know why Spider-Man Villain was one of the spots I wanted to check off, but I wanted to check it off. So they all fill that same role. If you told me Electro or Green Goblin wasn't gonna make it, but Dr. Octopus was, I wouldn't be mad, and vice versa for all these characters. If you told me Electro was gonna make it, but neither the other two, I wouldn't be mad. If you told me Green Goblin was going to instead of the other two, I wouldn't really mind it. So they all take the same spot, so I didn't want to take up 3 different spots on this list with the same box. I don't know if that makes sense. But if I had to choose a role for all 3 of these characters, Dr. Octopus would be a tank to me, Electro would be a DPS to me, and Green Goblin would be a DPS. Now Electro, I do think Electro could be a strategist, but with him being a villain, I think he should be a DPS. I don't know why my mind thinks like that, but I think he should be a DPS. Now, next on the list is Apocalypse. Now, Apocalypse is a tank, okay? Apocalypse is a tank if I've ever seen one, and it's having an X-Men villain out there. He was battling, I was really fighting for him or Mr. Sinister, but I think Apocalypse would be the better character to put out first. If you had to choose either or, I think Apocalypse would fit a role better than Mr. Sinister would. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Sinister is one of my favorite villains, but I think Apocalypse should be in the game more so than Mr. Sinister. I wouldn't mind Mr. Sinister coming to the game, but I think Apocalypse would take the spot over him. Next on the list is one of my favorite Young Avengers behind Kate Bishop. I think he's like top 5. Kate Bishop is number 1 by far, but I think he's top 5 or top 3, and that's Wiccan, okay? Wiccan is a very interesting character to me to put in this game because he doesn't really have a go-to ability or magic he uses a lot. Because when I think of Iron Man, I think of, suit, repulsor, blaster, think of Spider-Man, web slinging, Wolverine, claws, etc. Wiccan doesn't really go to any magic. Like, he kind of just uses, he uses the orbs kinda, but more so he just uses magic whenever he needs to, right? So, a very strong magic user, and just for that, I was thinking of his list and making it like his class. You put Nico as strategist, you put Circe as strategist, etc. Some magic just needs to be used as damage, damage output. So put Wiccan at DPS. I think it fits him a lot. So I'm just fanboying out. Okay, you're asking me to give 20 characters I want to see put in a Marvel game. I'm gonna fanboy. At least I've been fanboying this entire video. Next on the list is a character that we will probably never see. Okay, but not for the reason that she's not popular, just because there's so many. Okay, so I'm just gonna say the character, Hope Summers, right? And the reason why I think we probably never see her come to the game, there's so much story that needs to be told before you actually see Hope Summers, right? So she, I don't know, I feel like there's so many X-Men that has to come before Hope Summers does, or there's so many characters that have to come before Hope Summers. She will probably never make the game. But let's fantasize for a little bit, okay? What role would Hope Summers be strategist easily? I know she can copy other people's abilities, but I'm more so focused on the character, and she always wants to help other people out. And the next spot on the roster is filled up by 2 characters. That's because when I think of one, I think of the other, and vice versa. And it's Elsa Bloodstone and Werewolf by Night. Now these 2 characters are really like, they're a package to me, at least. When I think, like I said, when I think of one, I think of the other, and vice versa. So what would Elsa do? We already have multiple gun users in the game, but I think Elsa would be more so a trap person. So I think she'd set up spikes on the floor or a bear trap, and that character gets stuck if they walk in it and stuff like that. I think she would be a very movement hunter character, kind of like another character in another hero shooter. I think Elsa would be a very fun character. I'm just going around the map, sniping people, setting up traps and stuff like that. She'd be very, very difficult, not difficult character, but kind of like obviously you go out there and just shoot people with Punisher, with, automatic guns and stuff like that. Also, you're gonna take more patience, more, thought process, but once it works, it's worth the effort, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but now the last spot on the roster is filled by 2 characters, and these characters have nothing in common. It's not like Elsa and Werewolf, but they could do the same thing technically, but they could do different things. So these could be 2 different characters, but I think they could fill the same role, and that is Falcon and Angel, or Archangel. It doesn't matter which one. I say Angel for the sake of this video, but Angel, Falcon, they could both be DPSs, but I like to see them as strategists because I think having different ways to play certain roles could help the game. So having a flying strategist, which it can be done, we had Mercy in Overwatch, so it can be done, but they could fill the same role in the sense of Falcon flying around giving people armor and having them have better shields, or Angel flying in and giving people wings so they can fly faster, or not fly faster, but fly or jump higher, or have good air mobility or speed, something like that. Have them flying in, or then do a damage flying out and flying to their team or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool to have either or in these games. So they're in the same spot. That's why they're in the same spot, because I didn't want to put them in 2 different areas on the list, because I think they could amount to the same thing. Like, they could do the same thing in the game. So as I'm editing the video, I realized 2 issues with the video, so I'm trying to squeeze these in at the end. One of the issues were that I completely skipped over someone that's on the list. I don't know how I did that. The way I have the video formatted, with the list formatted, is a little wacky, a little weird. If I would make a video like this again, I'd probably format it a little bit differently. So I'll talk about the 19th character, and then I'll talk about the 20th character, because I completely miscounted. So I have to talk about the 20th character and the 19th. So with the 19th character on the list is Abomination. And I think I wanted to put, my thought process was I wanted to put a Hulk villain in the game. So I could have went Red Hulk. I mean, there's a lot of Hulk villains. So, but I landed with Abomination. Abomination, he's well known. I feel like he's well known, right? Everyone knows Abomination. I mean, Red Hulk, there's a lot of Hulk villains that are well known. But I wanted to put in like a classic Hulk villain, and I feel like Abomination fits that really well. And as a 20th character, I had to freestyle it, so I don't know where I went. So okay, so I give you guys my thought process. I know who the 20th character is, but I want to give you guys the runner-ups, I guess. So 1, Madeline Pryor, Rachel Summers, Nathaniel Richards. Those are characters that came to mind. Havoc, those are characters that came to mind. But the character I landed on, I don't know, I'm feeling very X-Men today. But the character I landed on was Black Knight. The story how I found out about Black Knight is very interesting, but it's a long video, so I won't really go into it. But I think Black Knight's a really cool character. I already have Circe on the list, so I mean, they had a thing in the comics and the MCU. We don't have to talk about that, but they were they were a thing in the Eternals. So I mean, that would, it would make sense for him to come to the game. I think Abomination, he should be a tank, and Black Knight, he could be a DPS. I think him at DPS would make sense. That is my list. Let me know what you guys think. Well, let me know what you guys think of my list. Did you like it? Did you think it sucked? What characters did we replace on this roster with my characters? What characters stood out to you in this video? Let me guys think. I really tried to bring up some characters that I haven't heard a lot of, so I really tried. I'm gonna leave you here. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in another video. Peace.